It is finally here. We are now on the day where lives will be changed. The NFL draft, day one of the draft is here. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about which team could possibly be bold in today's draft. Which team that has two first round picks must hit in this draft, and some players that I'm going to be interested in round one of the 2026 NFL draft. We're going to talk about it, break it all down, but you got to hear the music first.
Welcome to your number one spot for all NFL news and content, NFL Central.
What's going on, NFL fans, and welcome back into another episode of NFL Central, your number one spot for everything NFL. I'm your host here, Bobby, and I'm holding it down for today's daily episode. So if you're tuned in and whatever, if you're ready for a football talk, man, we here all off season long. So make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It is NFL Draft Day. Represent your squad and join the NFL Central family, man. We talking all things football, breaking down the entire draft. So go ahead and join the family. Now, hey, with day one, we're here, baby. We got to talk about which teams do we believe will be bold on day one of the NFL draft. Go ahead, drop it down below. Let me know how you feeling. Do you believe your team will be bold on today's in round one of the NFL draft? I know I'm anxious to see what my Chicago Bears are going to do, but I also have some interest in some other teams. Drop your teams down below on who you believe will be bold on day one of the NFL draft. I have two teams on my list that are not a representation of myself that I believe will be bold in round one. The first team for me, it's going to be the Arizona Cardinals. I think that they are in a situation to where they can go either way with their selections. Now we look at them currently sitting in a third spot, and I think that this thing can go a number of ways. That first way is that if they receive calls that they don't necessarily like, these guys could potentially say, hey, let's go out there and draft Jeremiah Love, which I think will be a solid move. Right now, there's some discourse about drafting a running back at 3. Some people are talking about the financial implications of that and bringing Jeremiah Love to Arizona. But I say, who gives a damn? If you are an organization, you should be doing what's best for you and not necessarily caring what the outside noise is saying. I think that if they go out there and get Jeremiah Love, you fix your situation with Jacoby Brissett and potentially stand pat and wait to see if you have an opportunity to draft Ty Simpson later in the draft, maybe on day 2. Hey, you can go out there and starting to rebuild some things around your offense and your team. I think they are in prime position to improve themselves. And I think that when you get a young quarterback, and that is with Ty Simpson potentially, or let's say another guy later in the draft, one thing that you want to ensure is that the offensive line is good, which I think the Arizona Cardinals has a pretty good offensive line, but you also want to have that young quarterback have a running back that can take some pressure off of you. And Jeremiah Love can absolutely do that for your organization. And now the other scenario is, could the Arizona Cardinals potentially use the bait of them potentially drafting Jeremiah Love to lure additional assets to Arizona by using and putting out that information that they are interested in Jeremiah Love? Can that force a team like Tennessee just to move up one slot? Can that force a team like the New York Giants to move up a couple slots? Can that force other teams to call Arizona, not even just for Jeremiah Love, but a pass rusher? It's it's a very good thing if that team wanted to go out there and do that like the Arizona Cardinals to entice someone else to make the phone call and then they grab additional assets. I think that will be good for their organization. Now, while we're speaking or mentioning the New York Giants, I think that's another team that could potentially be bold on day one of the NFL draft. I look at the New York Giants with having picks at 5 and 10, and they could potentially move up if they want to, or stand pat and go out there and select some really good players. I believe they're going to have an opportunity to look at Sony Styles, and then they're going to have an opportunity to look at a guy like Caleb Downs as well. Or they can also go any other way that they would like to, maybe pick up another defensive pass rusher now that you've gotten rid of Dexter Lawrence. I think that can be some really, really bold moves. Or you can utilize your fifth pick and stand pat at that position. And you can go out there and take advantage of that 10th pick and potentially move back for additional assets to add to your football team. I think that'd be really, really good for them. I think that'd be something that they can utilize to improve this team because right now in the NFC East, I think that they have a chance to compete for a playoff spot. And that's early on, right before the draft is complete. So those are my two teams that I have in day one of the NFL draft that could potentially be making bold moves. The Arizona Cardinals and the New York Giants. I think those teams are in great position to maneuver through day one of this draft to vastly improve their team. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about that, what you agree with and what you disagree with. Let me know. Now we move on to the next topic. Which team with 2 first-round picks must hit? Which team that has 2 first-round picks must hit on their picks? Now, just for context, I want to provide you all with those teams that have 2 first-round picks. It's the New York Jets, the New York Giants, the Cleveland Browns, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Miami Dolphins, and the Dallas Cowboys. Yesterday, I mentioned the Dallas Cowboys, and I believe that they must stand pat and do not get enticed to trade up for one defensive player when you could potentially have 2 game-changing defensive players by simply just stand pat. But the team that I believe must hit on their 2 first-round picks is the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, it sounds a bit odd, but here's my logic behind it. The reason I believe the Kansas City Chiefs must hit on their 2 first-round picks is because, like all these other teams, those other teams, they don't have the expectations of the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs, out of the bunch, has the best coach, has the best quarterback, with some aging stars in certain positions like Travis Kelce and Chris Jones. So they must be in competition to compete for a Super Bowl. You traded Trent McDuffie. Byron Cooks is no longer there. The other cornerback that was opposite of Trent McDuffie is no longer there as well. You have to hit on your draft picks because we look at Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid as Super Bowl contenders every single year. We're not talking about Super Bowl contention for the Giants, even if they have a good draft. We're not talking about Super Bowl contention if either of the New York teams hit on their drafts. We know the Dallas Cowboys and their carousel with saying that they're going to win a championship every single year. The team that legitimately is in Super Bowl contention conversations every single year is the Kansas City Chiefs. So they must hit on their draft picks on day one. These are potentially your starters that you're going to have on your team. So in day one, I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs as the team that must hit on both of their first round picks. You got to. The expectations is way higher than the other teams mentioned. I know some people could say, what about the Browns? Hey, the Browns, we know the Browns going brown. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a little dookie in there. It's going to be a little dookie in there. These guys, I heard a stat. I see the stat that the Cleveland Browns, out of the last 23 seasons, has made the playoffs twice. So even if they hit on the draft picks, Nobody is changing the expectations. We want to see them play. We know if the Kansas City Chiefs go out there and select some really good prospects and bring them to the team, they have a greater chance of making a run than all the other teams listed. Y'all let me know how y'all feeling about that. Is that a logical analysis? Do you agree or disagree? Let me know, man. And before we get up out of here, just really, really quick, want to talk about some players that I'm going to be watching where they land on day one. Some of those players, it's a lot of good players that I'm intrigued by. I'm intrigued by David Bailey, where he's going to go, Arvell Reese, where he's going to go, Jeremiah Love, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of really good players that I like in the first round of this draft. But the guys that I'm really, really going to be honing in on is Keldrick Falk out of Auburn, Peter Woods out of Clemson, and Ty Simpson. And here's why. For Keldrick Falk out of Auburn, he's a young prospect, has a lot of tools that you can utilize for your defense, but the production was not so good for him. And if you look at some of the mock drafts, they have him as far as 12 and as far back in the late 20s. So I'm interested to see where he lands. And I think that the place that he lands is going to be very, very important. And the same thing can be said about a number of prospects in this draft. So I'm interested to see, will he become a Dallas Cowboy? Will he fall to the Chicago Bears? Which those are some of the teams where he's been mocked to. We're going to find out what team is going to bank on him and see if he can come in and be an impactful player for their franchise. Next, I'm looking at Peter Woods. Didn't necessarily test well throughout the NFL Combine. Definitely a guy who has received a lot of praise. Seems like there is an argument for why he should go high or why he should be taken later in the round. But I'm still interested to see what team will go out there and take a chance on him. Now, Ty Simpson is my last player that I'm interested in, and more specifically, simply because there are some people that have him dropping out of the first round, and then you have other analysts that are advocating for teams to take Ty Simpson in the first round, and even mention that some teams, like the Arizona Cardinals, who we talked about a little bit earlier, should move up to draft. There's a lot of people that even has said that he's more NFL ready than the expected number one overall pick, Fernando Mendoza, because of the style of offense that he played down in Alabama. So I'm interested to see, will the Arizona Cardinals go and trade back into the first round to select Ty Simpson? Will the Pittsburgh Steelers say to hell with Aaron Rodgers, we're going to draft Ty Simpson? Who will be bold enough to select Ty Simpson in the first round? And he's going to be in Pittsburgh for the draft. He has the belief that he's going to be a first round pick. Will this be a move that have him going back to the hotel room and coming back tomorrow? So those are just three players I'm really, really interested in. You let me know down below who you are really, really interested in and where they are going to go, because we never know how the draft board is going to fall. We never know necessarily how these moves will affect each team. Will it force some teams to trade up? If a team misses out on said player, will they trade back? It's all intriguing stuff, and why we love the NFL draft, man. And we do have a live coming on later today to cover the entire NFL draft. So make sure you lock in, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notification bell so you can come in and see who your team goes out there and select. And if you're going to be ticked off, express it. If you're going to be happy, express it. And this is the place to do it, covering the NFL draft for the entire duration of the draft. But hey, that is it for me today, y'all. I appreciate y'all for tuning in to another episode of NFL Central. Before you get up out of here, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well, man. This is one of the best football days of the year, and I can't wait to see who my team selects, and I can't wait to see where these other prospects go, all for the sake of the love for the game. But that's it. I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all always love football. And y'all already know I'm going to catch y'all on the next one for sure. Peace.
This has been a presentation